We know people here in Syracuse are living with lead, but the question has become just how much.
And the city of Syracuse says repeatedly water tests this summer showing higher than normal lead levels were done inaccurately. 2 workers suspended because of that, and recent tests show more typical results.
All right, let's bring in Onondaga County Health Commissioner Dr. Katie Anderson. Thank you for being here. Talk more about the lead poisoning, lead testing. Good to see you. We always enjoy having you here.
Thanks for having me.
All right, let's start out with, we know that your department is not in charge of the water testing, but how concerned are you about the lead levels in the city of Syracuse?
First, I want to reassure people that our water supply coming out of Skaneateles Lake is completely safe, lead-free, nothing has changed. So start with that. The city of Syracuse also puts an additive in the water called orthophosphate, which is, it's intended to prevent pipe corrosion and any leaching of water, of lead into the water. And notably in other parts of the country where they've had problems with lead in water, that practice wasn't always followed. So this is a protective measure that's been taken for some time here. And then finally, as mentioned, there was abnormal testing, outlier testing that happened earlier this year, but with retesting and again learning that there was some errors in sampling, it seems to be back in range. So all of this is reassuring to me that we do not necessarily have a crisis on our hands.
And I'm guessing that's why you can tell people that they should be confident when they get a glass of water that they're not getting a concernable amount of lead in their water, if any at all. There may not be any at all, but there could be very trace amounts.
I think that's right. So the prior testing suggests that the treatment with orthophosphate is preventing lead from getting into our water in significant degrees. That said, as the water leaves Skaneateles Lake and goes through the water mains, in 14,000 homes, there are lead service lines, which means that that clean water can pass the service lines, and if it sits for an extended period of time, say days, weeks, it's been in contact with the lead. So one thing everyone should be making a habit of, especially if you know you have lead service lines, is when you get up in the morning, turn on the water, let it run for 30 seconds, 60 seconds, until it's cold. And that flushes out that water that's been in contact with the lead pipes, draws in fresh water from the water mains, and is the best way that you can be confident that you're drinking lead-free water.
And what about boiling water, using a filter? Should those steps be taken now, just in case people are concerned?
Yeah, good question. So boiling water does not get rid of lead. The best thing you can do, again, as has been shown in multiple studies, is to run that water. But filters can help. And so as the city is waiting to complete their testing and waiting to finalize those results, the county is partnering with the city to distribute water filters to homes where children are frequently present, pregnant women, or other high-risk features. So anyone interested in learning more about that can contact the city, and then more details on how those will be distributed will be forthcoming.
Okay, that's great. I know you have said before, we have talked about the issue of water and lead paint, and you've said lead paint is really the big concern. Is that still the issue here in Syracuse? Is that where the focus should lie, on lead paint?
That remains the most common route of exposure. And the reason we can say that is whenever a child is found to have elevated blood lead levels through testing, the health department follows up and tries to identify what hazards they may have been exposed to. And this reinforces that it almost always traces back to lead paint. And as we know, in Syracuse, we have an aging housing stock, vast majority of homes built before 1978 when lead paint was banned. And as they fall into disrepair, that cracking, peeling paint or lead dust is really the way that children are getting exposed.
And so if you're a parent, you're concerned about this, maybe you discovered, yeah, my house has lead in it, has it outside. What should I do?
Yeah, that's the important question. So people should know that their landlords or property managers are required to fix any lead hazards that are found, and owners of properties should know that there are multiple grants available to support them in getting these repairs done, which can be costly. And so people can reach out to the County Department of Community Development to learn more about those grants. But finally, as you're waiting to get these hazards addressed, really parents also need to be proactive about preventing any further exposure to their children. And what that really comes down to is doing wet cleaning techniques. So what you want to avoid is the lead dust. No sweeping, no vacuums, because that could kick it up into the air and you could inhale it. So you want to be sure to use wet wipes, wet mopping, things like that to clean up.
And I know you've talked about testing being such a key to catching lead poisoning, but how and where does someone actually go about doing that?
To get tested.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it should be happening routinely at primary care visits. It's recommended by New York State that all kids are tested at age 1 and age 2 and should be happening at the pediatrician's office. At the health department, we also have a responsibility to help link kids with testing. That isn't happening routinely that all kids are tested. So if parents have any questions, have they been tested? Where can they get a test? Could we help test them? They can call us and we can link them up with those services.
All right, and we've got about 30 seconds left. What advice would you give for people as far as detecting it themselves if they have it in
If
their
you have
homes?
lead in your home.
Yeah.
If your house was built before 1978, you should probably presume you have lead paint in your house. There's a variety of ways to get tested. If you have a young kid in your house, it's built before 1978, we'll engage to do testing at the health department. There's other places that do it, and we can help link you up with those services too.
Excellent advice.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have a great video on your website that goes through a lot of this. It's really good. Well done.
Good team.
Dr. Katie Anderson, thanks so much for stopping by. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.